Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video day, and today we're going to be talking about a huge trade that would send Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby to the Portland Trailblazers. This would be, if this trade could happen, I personally think this could be one of the biggest trades this offseason, perhaps, as the Trailblazers are looking to potentially move the third overall pick for win now players, talent, and get Damian Lillard some help. I think, Toronto could be a team who could be willing to move some of their good players to potentially get a top pick where Portland's staying at, pick 3 right now, getting the third overall pick in Tuesday's lottery. And two guys are looking to move is Pascal Siakam. Trailblazers have interest in Siakam. Another guy that, trying to maybe move this offseason is OG Anunoby. Trailblazers also like OG Anunoby. So why not get both of these guys? I know it's a crazy idea, but I think it'd be a good one for the Portland Trailblazers. Let's go over what this trade would be. 3 players going to Toronto with 3 picks going to Toronto as well, and OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam, and 1 pick going to the Portland Trailblazers. Let's go over it. So the Toronto Raptors would be receiving Jusuf Nurkic, Anthony Simons, Nasir Little, the 3rd overall pick in this year's draft, and a 2023 first-round pick that belongs to the New York Knicks, which is the 23rd pick in this year's draft. So the Raptors get the 23rd pick and the 3rd overall pick. They get Anthony Simons, Jusuf Nurkic, and Nasir Little in the trade. And then they also get Portland's 2024 first-round pick, which Portland would be a pretty good team with OG and Pascal Siakam coming in to team up with Damian Lillard and Shaedon Sharpe, who I think is going to have an excellent second season. So I think they would – I'm not saying they're guaranteed the playoffs, but I think it's not going to be I think that could be, a late teens, maybe early 20s pick. So it's not that great of a pick, but it is a first-round pick and has some potential if the Blazers were to potentially fall off and not do that great. But I think with the team of OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, Damian Lillard, and Shaedon Sharpe, I think the Blazers would be okay and do really good this season. Let's go over the Raptors' assets in this trade and talk about what they could be looking at. Let's go over some of the players that they're receiving stats. Now, Anthony Simons, I want to get into him first because he's a guy where, at first I was hearing some trade rumors on him with Portland. I'm thinking there's no way Portland moves, this guy in this offseason. He was that good for them this regular season. If to start the year, him and Dame as a guard duo were an amazing guard duo. But I think you have to maybe sacrifice Anthony Simons, who's pretty young, 23 years old, so you can, focus on your team's success right now. Because as of right now, I think with the current team the Blazers have, Dame's getting older. They can't. Dame wants to win a championship, and if they need to make Dame happy, because if not, Dame's going to request a trade. And as much as it's going to suck to move on from Anthony Simons in this trade proposal, I think to get Siakam and OG Anunoby on the Toronto Raptors, to get OG and Pascal and the Blazers, I think it'd be the best situation for their team. But Anthony Simons was phenomenal this year. Averaged 21.1 points per game, had 4 assists per game, shot 37.7% from 3. He also had 3 rebounds per game, decent defensive player as well. I think if he goes to Toronto, teams up with him, Scotty Barnes, and whoever they draft. I'm assuming with the 3rd overall pick, they would draft Brandon Miller. So you have Anthony Simons at the 1, Brandon Miller at the 2, and Scotty Barnes at the 3, and someone, at the 4. I don't know who the 4 would be. Who knows who would maybe the power forward would be Chris Boucher, possibly, if they don't pick somebody up. So Chris Boucher maybe at the starting 4, and then Jusuf Nurkic at the starting 5. They're not a bad team. That's not a bad team, it's not that great of a team, but I think that's a really nice young trio between Anthony Simons, Scotty Barnes, and possibly Brandon Miller, if that's who they would be drafting with the third overall pick. But Anthony Simons, it was unbelievable last year, unbelievable, and didn't even. I mean, he didn't play much in the year. Nasir Little, I mean, he's not that great. He's okay. He's a decent role player. I want to get into something. These guys came into the NBA pretty young. Anthony Simons was drafted in 2018. 2018 in the first round, in the 24th overall pick. He's 23 now. So when he came to the NBA, he was like just 18 years old. Nasir Little, he's 23 years old. He was drafted in 2019. He was around 19. That's really the normal age. But Anthony Simons came in the NBA at 18, really young. He came in the NBA really young, but Nasir Little is still really young. He's 23 years old. He's a 6'5", small forward. Shoots 36.7% from three, averaged 6 and almost a little bit over 6.5 points per game last season. 3 rebounds per game, and a solid defensive player. Yusuf Nurkic, a really solid center. It's surprising how, he doesn't feel this young, but he's 28 years old. It feels like he's maybe like 32, 33, but he's only 28. He's averaged 13.3 points per game this season with 9 rebounds made. His three-point shot has really improved. He was shot 43 for 119, which is 36%. So usually didn't. Before this, years past, he did not have a good three-point shot. Was not that great of a shooter, but he's turned into a decent three-point shooter, and I think he'd be a really nice starting center. Now let's go over the two players that and also so what the Blazers are getting Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, and the 13th overall pick. So the Blazers are getting Siakam, OG, and the 13th overall pick. The Raptors are getting Yusuf Nurkic, Anthony Simons, Nasir Little, the 3rd overall pick, the 23rd overall pick, and the Blazers' 2024 first-round pick. Now, OG Anunoby had a great season last year. He's only 25 years old. Was drafted in 2017 in the first round, 2020 with the 23rd overall pick. What was he? I think he was 19 coming in the NBA, not 18. Averaged 17 points per game last year with 5 rebounds. Shot 38.7% from 3, and is a terrific defensive player. Averaged almost 2 steals per game, 1.9 steals per game, and is one of the best defensive forwards in the NBA. Excellent defensive player and a really good shooter. He'd be really good for Portland's, offense and defense. Now, Pascal Siakam around, defense and offense and scoring. Not really a great 3-point shooter. He's a solid 3-point shooter, 32.4%, 93 for 287. Doesn't really shoot from 3 that much, but he's great in the paint. He's a great drive. He's great driver. And averaged 24.2 points per game this season. 2-time All-Star, almost 8 rebounds per game. It would be that second star next to Damian Lillard. And then you got two young guys in Shaedon Sharpe and OG Anunoby playing next to each other, which I think would be even great. But another thing I want to get to is with the Blazers giving her to Yusuf Nurkic in this trade, you got a hell of a starting lineup of Damian Lillard, Shaedon Sharpe at the 2, Lillard at the 1, Sharpe at the 2, the 3 OG Anunoby, the 4 Pascal Siakam, but you don't have a center. So I think in that case, with Yusuf Nurkic being gone, the Blazers would need to pick up a center, and I think the best fit for the Portland Trailblazers would be picking up Mason Plumlee in free agency, who spent last season with the Charlotte Hornets and the LA Clippers and averaged, I think, 10.9 points per game and like 8 rebounds per game. I think he'd be a great addition. But this would be a mega trade if it happened. Tell me who says no in this trade. I don't think either team says no because I think Toronto is ready to go in the rebuild stage. And this starts it with teaming Anthony Simons up with Scotty Barnes and possibly Brandon Miller if they draft Brandon Miller with the 3rd overall pick. So it really just, gets their young team ready to go and basically ready to go in a rebuild, I guess. But I think it would. Some Raptors fans might not like it, but I think ultimately getting the third overall pick, the 23rd overall pick, Portland's 2024, and Anthony Simons to team up with Brandon Miller, who they should probably draft at 3 if this trade were to happen, and then Scotty Barnes. I think Scotty Barnes, Brandon Miller, and Anthony Simons would be a hell of a trio on the Raptors. And then you got Yusuf Nurkic adding in as a decent center, and Nasir Little as another piece off the bench. As much as Raptors fans might not like this, I think this would be a really solid move for the Raptors. I think for the Blazers, they don't really need the third overall pick if they want to win now. If they're more focused on the future, they should keep their pick. But I think that this is a good trade for both squads. But you guys have your thoughts. That's the video. If you guys enjoy them, your thoughts, and peace out.